Greetings, fellow adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. We extend a warm welcome to you as we discuss and analyze moko in this video. Thumba Priter sketch of a Māori chief, 1773 engraving by T. Chambers based on a 1769 drawing by Sydney Parkinson from the 1784 edition of a Journal of a Voyage to the South Seas is the permanent marking or tattoo as traditionally practiced by Māori, the indigenous people of New Zealand. It is one of the 5 main Polynesian tattoo styles. The other 4 are Marquesan, Samoan, Tahitian and Hawaiian. Tattooists were considered, or inviolable and sacred. Let's now turn our attention to historical practice pre-contact and examine its role within a larger context. Historical practice pre-contact. Tattoo arts are common in the eastern Polynesian homeland of the Māori people, and the traditional implements and methods employed were similar to those used in other parts of Polynesia. In pre-European Māori culture, many if not most high-ranking persons received moko were associated with mana and high social status. However, some very high-status individuals were considered too tapu to acquire moko, and it was also not considered suitable for some to hunger to do so. Receiving constituted an important milestone between childhood and adulthood, and was accompanied by many rites and rituals. Apart from signaling status and rank, another reason for the practice in traditional times was to make a person more attractive to the opposite sex. Men generally received on their faces, buttocks and thighs. Women usually wore moko on their lips and chins. Other parts of the body known to have moko include women's foreheads, buttocks, thighs, necks and backs, and men's backs, stomachs, and calves. Prepare yourself for an eye-opening discussion on instruments used in the upcoming portion of this video. Historically, the skin was carved by chisels, rather than punctured as in common contemporary tattooing. This left the skin with grooves rather than a smooth surface. Later needle tattooing was used, but, in 2007, it was reported that the currently was being used by some artists. Originally, specialists used a range of chisels made from albatross bone which were hafted onto a handle and struck with a mallet. The pigments were made from for the body color and burnt timbers for the blacker face color. The soot from burnt cory gum was also mixed with fat to make pigment. The pigment was stored in ornate vessels named, which were often buried when not in use. They were handed on to successive generations. A feeding funnel is believed to have been used to feed men whose mouths had become swollen from receiving. Men and women were both moko specialists and would travel to perform their art. In the upcoming portion, we'll be dissecting changes with European colonization to gain a comprehensive understanding of its implications. The practice of collecting and trading tattooed heads changed the dynamic of in the early colonial period. King C. below talks about changes which evolved in the late 19th century when needles came to replace that as the main tools. The needle method was quicker and presented fewer possible health risks, but the texture of the became smooth. On men stopped around the ears in line with changing fashion and acceptance by. Women continued receiving through the early 20th century, and the historian Michael King in the early years interviewed over 70 elderly women who would have been given the before the 1907 to Hunger Suppression Act. Women's tattoos on lips and chin are commonly called kuo or moko kawa. Now, let's shift our perspective and explore contemporary practice through a fresh lens, unlocking new perspectives. Since 1990 there has been a resurgence in the practice of for both men and women, as a sign of cultural identity and a reflection of the general revival of the language and culture. Most applied today is done using a tattoo machine, but there has also been a revival of the use of chisels. Women too have become more involved as practitioners, such as Christine Harvey in Christchurch, Henrietta Nicholas in Rotorua and Julie Keeper in Wacken. It is not the first time the contact with settlers has interfered with the tools of the trade. The earliest moko were engraved with bone and were replaced by metal supplied by the first visitors. The most significant change was the adjustment of the themes and conquests the tattoos represented. Moko artist Tuamakina Dooley, in an interview for Art and View magazine, shares his view on the transformation of the practice, The difference in moko today as compared to the 19th century is in the change of lifestyle, in the way we live. The tradition of moko was one of initiation, rites of passage. It started around that age, but it also benchmarks achievements in your life and gives you a goal to strive towards and achieve in your life. Dewey received moko to celebrate his graduation from a Bachelor in Maori Studies. Whaomori moko from a 1908 publication Whaitamiti at Gallery opening 13 October Okho activist Tamiti Whai Chukino by Lindar Chukino Tia Hitawinchi Tamta Whaiti Hogoldi Ogot Aho Oti Rangi Wepunti Mahuta. A large proportion of New Zealanders now have tattoos of some sort, and there is growing acceptance as a means of cultural and individual expression. Writer New Zealand Foreign Minister Nanea Mahuta in 2020. In 2016, New Zealand politician Nanea Mahuta received a moko kaua. When she became Foreign Minister in 2020, a writer said that her facial tattoo was inappropriate for a diplomat. There was much support for Mahuta, who said there is an emerging awareness about the revitalization of Maori culture and that facial moko is a positive aspect of that. We need to move away from moko being linked to gangs, because that is not what moko represent at all. On 25 December 2021, Maori journalist Oriini Keipara, who has a moko kaua, became the first person with traditional facial markings to host a primetime news program on national television in New Zealand. In 2022, Ariana Tico published a book called Mokora Nshkrarom Moko Kaua, My Story of Moko Kaua, detailing her moko journey. Her artist was Christine Harvey. Brace yourselves for the next chapter, where we'll be dissecting use by non-Maori. Europeans were aware of from the time of the first voyage of James Cook. Early Maori visitors to Europe, such as Mohanga in 1805, Homi Hika in 1820 and Tipi Coop in 1826, all had full face, as did several Maori, such as Barnett Burns. However, until relatively recently the art had little global impact. Wearing off by non-Maori has been called cultural appropriation, and high-profile uses of Maori designs by Robbie Williams, Ben Harper and a 2007 Jean Paul Gaultier fashion show were controversial. To reconcile the demand for Maori designs in a culturally sensitive way, the group promotes the use of the term, which has now gained wide acceptance. Translates literally to mean skin writing, as opposed to moko, which requires a process of consents, genealogy and historical information. Keritui is merely a design with Maori flavour that can be applied anywhere, for any reason and on anyone. Without further ado, let's move on to the topic of gallery. Whātuian Lijptuio, Chikoroto Matutara Potitati Waro File Barnett Burns Sob Barnett Burns, Upkmori Fire Parote Kahujiaj Griprata Kahusha T A Tango Amahoki File Maniapoto Grui Maniapoto Inchi Maniapoto Falsison, Rotorua, New Zealand, Ka. Guide Susan Phytomatuakanin Soctomatuakanin Tui Phychif Mari 3157 Octomacati Mutu, Niti Rangi Philatha James Isles Tutari Keru of the Gatamaru Tribe, North Island, New Zealand. Google Art Projected Tutari Kerua, Jimar Horiki Phile American Photographic Company Auckland. Mrs. Rabone. Google Art Projected Kums. Rabone, 1871 Fem Maori Hori Taha 1964 9530 Hori Taha Fem Maori Avik Untatuaj Ominta 1998 3173 Fichif Maori Oteha 1998 23059 Fire Hom Maori O Visage Tattoo Fem Maori 1998 23050 Fem Maori 1998 3160 Fichif Maori 1998 23049 Thank you for watching. I appreciate your support and I'll see you in the next video.